deepest part of me. I said, if you wanna bring me down, just go ahead, 'cause I'm not sure there's a better part of me. I said, if you wanna leave me now, just think it over, 'cause I don't wanna make the same mistakes. Oh no, I don't wanna make the same mistakes. I'm not here 'cause someone told me one day I could be a star if I just write songs that everybody likes. I make my way to Hollywood. I'm not here for your opinion. I'm not here to make you smile. I don't doubt that your intention differ from what I've been told before. I lay my heart on paper. You can't buy my words, they're not for sale. Will you remember me when you don't see my face on a magazine? Will you remember me when I'm gone? 'Cause I'm not Hollywood. Whoa, whoa. 'Cause I'm not Hollywood. Whoa, whoa. I'm not here 'cause someone gave me $1 million in a brand new car. I show scars and pieces on this life I live, the things I've done. I'm not here to tell your story. I'll never sing your songs. I'm not here so you can make me into something that I've never been before. I lay my heart on paper. You can't buy my soul. It's not for sale. Will you remember me when you don't see my face on a magazine? Will you remember me when I'm gone? 'Cause I'm not Hollywood, but my life's just a memory. Will anything I'm giving matter at all? Will you catch me when I fall? 'Cause I'm not Hollywood. Will you remember me when you don't see my face on a magazine? Will you remember me when I'm gone? 'Cause I'm not Hollywood, but my life's just a memory. Will anything I'm giving matter at all? Will you catch me when I fall? 'Cause I'm not Hollywood. Whoa, whoa. 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 'Cause I'm not Hollywood. Will you remember me when you don't see my face on a magazine? Will you remember me when I'm gone? Oh, 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 oh.
Trying to hold us off. The Nexus is probably going to be going down that one claw side, and there's the ridiculously lagging GG!
doesn't even have Blink yet.
Welcome everyone to the last series of the round 1 of the ISTL playoffs. I am Vindicare and with me is Buddha. We are going to see a best of 7 today between Team Metagaming versus Team NrG. How are you feeling today, Buddha?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. You know what I just figured out right now, Buddha? It is so worth it to throw a Roma tomato on a sandwich. It makes the whole thing so much better. So that was my life experience for today. But I am ready to get into some game casting between these two awesome teams. ISTL started to get really, really competitive. The last 2 series that we've had so far in round 1 of the playoffs have been really, really good.
Yeah, no, we continue to have absolutely fantastic games. All these players are actually being pretty creative for the most part. And, we'll have to see what happens today, but we have a little bit of background information on these guys, and also we have 2 awesome starting players here.
Yeah, we have Reap and Void. Now, I have not actually been able to see very much of Void and how he plays, especially in this matchup. It does look like we're going to have a TVZ to open things up. As always, with all of our opening series, it will be on Cloud Kingdom to start things off. But Reap, I have been able to see him play in a few of his matches, and he's just an overall pretty solid Zerg player. Yeah, no, he really is. And, I'm interested to see what we see on this map. Last time I saw him play, he went for an 11-minute hive straight into Ultralisks with really fast 3-3. That was on Metropolis, a slightly larger map, but Cloud Kingdom has a really good win rate for Zerg at the moment. So, we'll have to see how Void tries to open, if he tries to do anything cheesy to maybe get a kind of a free win on this map. I'm not really sure. Yeah, we'll have to see how Void is actually going to take advantage of the fact that it is a little bit more difficult to drop on this map than I think on some of the others, but it is still it's still a pretty solid map for Terran, I think, too, if you play it right. But we do have some introductions that are in order. We do have the red Terran player from Team NrG down here in the bottom left. He is Void. Yeah, Void against the blue Zerg player spawning at the top right, Reap for MG. And, yeah, you guys, this is going to be Metagaming versus NrG Gaming. And, well, this is the first round of the playoffs. Of course, if you lose this set, then you are out. You're done with ISTL Season 2. For the season. So this is actually a really big deal because first, second, and third do get money paid out to them, right? It's 190, 90, and 30, I think, for first, second, and third, something like that. And, all these teams looking for the money and notoriety of winning ISTL too. Well, there's also, like, even for teams that lose in the earlier rounds, there is also the possibility of earning that $50 MVP gift certificate. So there is always that for them to look forward to, just maybe as a consolation prize. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think will happen if, like, the MVP goes to, like, the person on, like, the winning team? He just kind of gets, like, additional money because he gets his $50 individual gift card, and then he also gets the cut or whatever the top team makes. Yeah, and that's assuming the team is going to, pay out money to the individual players, right? They might use it to host, like, a tournament to send a specific player to an event, like the winner of a small tournament they have in-house or something, or they could use it to sponsor their own tournament and try to get their name out there a little more or whatever, right? So they could do basically anything, but, hopping into this game a little bit, looks like we are going to have a hatch first against a command center first for a Void, and a Void's not even going to put this on the low ground. Oh, he's changing his mind here, and he is going to. And Reap with no drone scout is not going to see this until his overlord gets there. Buddha, I've been seeing this a lot lately. This Terrence going command center first. My favorite player, Marine King, does it a lot. In fact, he's been doing it probably more than any other Terran that I've seen stream consistently. And I'm a little confused at how this became the popular opening against Zerg. I know that the Queen change makes it more difficult for Terrans to actually put on, like, early pressure with, like, 2 Rax builds, Reactor Hellion builds, but you're still vulnerable as a Terran if you go command center first, which is the reason why nobody was doing it in the first place. Like, I don't know. Like, I think this current era of, like, going command center first, I don't think it's going to last all that long. I think once Zergs figure out the Terrans are doing this more and more often, we might see, like, earlier Zergling pressure type builds. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility, but the Zerg player goes for a 15 hatch, and if they're not going to drone scout, you can definitely get away with this CC first. As we can see, Reap has, well, he sees the command center, so he does know it's command center first. But what is he doing to react to it? He's saying, well,
okay, I don't know how I can necessarily be guaranteed to punish you with this. So instead, he's just going to make 4 Zerglings, try to put on a tiny bit of pressure with those, I'm sure. And after that, it looks like we're going to have a Void tech straight up, only adding 1 barracks, so playing even greedier than normal.
Yeah, Void is definitely playing this a little bit greedier than normal, but he is dropping that 1 factory now, so he will probably be seeing a Hellion build following the command center first. And the thing is, if you can get away with the low ground command center first, this actually is a pretty solid build in like starting up into the mid game, because those Hellions do allow you to have that map control. They do allow you to shut down any sort of like early speedling pressure that could be coming to affect your command center first, and they're also actually pretty decent for stopping things like Baneling Bust or something like that.
Yeah, they're not so bad. You do have to have a lot of good scouting and be able to make some really good reads against your opponent, but definitely holdable in almost every situation. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say every single time you can raw, but looks like Reap's just going to play completely standard. He's going up to 6 queens, which is kind of new with the metagame with all these queen changes. And he's going to get some dramatic creep spread out there very quickly, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually set these the 4 initial queens that he built forward to actually like continue this creep spread like early, and those 2 queens that he's making right now to bring the total up to 6 are for his hatcheries. But the thing is that he also isn't actually starting a 3rd base. He's content to just sit and drone on these 2 bases. He hasn't even started any of his gases yet.
Yeah, and he's actually at a really high supply. He's at 56.
Here comes the 3rd hatchery. Okay, so a little bit later than I thought he was actually going to throw it down. But there goes the 3rd hatchery, and the geysers for all of his other bases are now being taken as well. So he has this build very well timed out. As soon as that 3rd hatchery goes down, all of his gases are going to come up. So he's going to be starting a lot of gas income early. But we still have absolutely no idea like what kind of tech route he's actually going to go for.
Yeah, he's taking all 4 gases now, like you said, and adding 1 spine crawler. And with all 6 of these queens out, he's going to be pretty safe from almost any kind of pressure. It looks like we do have a Banshee and those Reactor Hellions coming out of a Void. So kind of the new Puma-ish style where you try to clean up creep and queens with Hellion Banshee. But with 6 queens on the map, he's going to be, assuming there's no huge miscontrols, Reap's going to be okay. And some of his creep will get cleaned up. For the most part, he should be absolutely fine and be able to continue the creep spread.
Well, with four queens out, like devoted entirely to creep spread, Buddha, Void is going to need more than a mop and bucket if he wants to clean up all of this creep. We are just gonna have so much creep out on this map so early. This is like really the a lot of like people are like, well, why is the queen change such a big deal? Like the queens by themselves are not that big of a deal. It's what they're able to spit out all over the map in this creep that's a big deal. But we do actually have Hellions that are able to make it past those queens that are over at the 3rd base. These Hellions are going to be able to get a bunch of drone kills. We already have a few drones gone down. 4 drones have been killed. Now up to 6. A lot of drones actually are being killed. And this is only 5 Hellions. So Void is definitely able to get away with this. He's actually like, this is actually such a good thing for him to do because he already went command center first and he was able to actually get some economic damage done to his opponent. So pretty good little victory there for Void.
Yeah, it was only 7 drones, but take a look at the Harvester count. It's 46 to 42 in our Terran's favor, actually. So that's really, really, really good for a Void. He's up in supply. He's got his Banshees coming out now, and he lost a lot of map control from those Hellions, but wasn't going to hold on to it for too long anyways with all those queens, and creep going to be everywhere. One thing I do want to point out is look at the Overlord spread on the map. Reap has an Overlord on the left, perfect position to scout any drops, and he has 4 Overlords on the right looking for drops too. I mean, he's going to be completely prepared for any of this. His queens are going to be in position to spot any drops and avoid taking a 3rd base and adding on 6 barracks. Wow, 6 barracks and a 2nd factory. Really powering right now.
Yeah, this is definitely what you can do if you open with a super economic opening as Terran, the way that Void actually went for. A lot of his tech is actually slower than it would have been if he had gone for, say, like a 1 Rax expand and straight into a tech lab. But he will have a very powerful timing attack potentially in just a little while. We now have 2 Cloak Banshees actually hitting the 3rd base location, getting a few more drone kills. And actually, these Banshees will be able to get a few more drone kills before these queens are actually able to drive them out. So Void is actually just doing a pretty good job of keeping himself as even with his Zerg opponent in economy as possible. I mean, Reap does have this 3rd base location, but he doesn't even have it saturated at all. All of the drones have been cleaned out from him.
Yeah, this is actually really good by a Void. Getting a couple of kills doesn't seem like a big deal, but in reality, what he's doing right now is Reap doesn't want a drone right now. That's what he did at the beginning of the game. Right now, he just wants to tech. He wants to get all of his units out, and now he's having to remake all these drones, having to make 15 now, going up to 70 again, and oh my god, he's actually going Spire.
I was actually just about to ask you about this, Buddha. I think that this Spire might actually be in response to those two Cloaked Banshees. Reap might be thinking that Void is actually going to be investing more heavily into Starport tech, which he isn't. These two Banshees are the only two that he's likely to produce in this game. He is going straight into standard Marine tank after this. We have both engineering bays down as well as an armory. So this is very, very standard play coming up from Void following this. We are going to lose one of those Banshees, but Void does now scout the fact that his opponent is going to go Spire. And how do you feel about this decision to go Spire from our Zerg player?
It's weird, man. On this map, we have been seeing a ton of Infestor and straight Ultralisk play, and it works a lot for Zerg players. So I'm really surprised that Reap is changing it up here, especially since we saw him be relatively successful on Metropolis, which I think is a better Muta map. And now he's going Spire on an Infestor map, I think, but I don't know. It's a little bit weird. So Reap is down in supply right now. He's got 9 Mutalisks coming out, but how much do you think it's honestly going to do now that a Void has already scouted it and is starting turrets?
No, it's not really going to do very much in actually doing any sort of economic damage to his opponent. But those mutas might be pretty good for stopping drops. They will finally put an end to this constant Banshee pressure that Void is actually doing to his opponent. And one of the things is that because Reap has been devoting so much attention to preparing for Banshee and Hellion run bys, it's really slowed his creep down. Void hasn't really done much in the way of actually killing any creep tumors, but what he has done is diverted his opponent's attention away from spreading creep. Now, creep does take actions per minute to actually devote to it, so if you can distract your opponent enough, that might be just as good as actually killing creep tumors.
Yeah, no, been doing a really good job. There are like 7 queens out, but it looks like a Void's going to come in with a 3 tank push on the top side. Oh my god, all the mutas fly over and all get wiped out.
Oh, that was a brutal miss rally by Reap directly into all of the Marines of his opponent. A lot of mutas do go down, but I still think that Reap actually might be able to hold off this attack before but good Marine splitting by Void allows him to mitigate all the damage of those Banelings off Reap, and this is really bad for Reap.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good engagement by Reap. He came in with a good angle, with a good number of Zerglings, and even though they were slow Banelings, there were enough of them. But, you know, Void just splitting absolutely perfectly there. His tanks taking out the rest of the Banelings, and now it's 160 to 134 supply. Reap on 86 Harvesters on 3 bases. That is not how many Harvesters you want on 3 bases. And, oh my god, a Void's 4th is done. He's making an orbital. He feels so far ahead. Reap trying to double expand it, triple expand at this point, trying to get another base up. And he's got almost no tech here. He's got 2-2 completed. A Void's 2-2 is going to be done very soon, though, and I don't know if Reap can hold off any future attacks in the near future here.
Well, he does have a very large 179 supply for Void right now. The Banelings are going to be rolling in. This time they are on creep. It's going to be a lot more difficult to actually split. Some good Baneling hits to actually take down a lot of Marines, but there is a full pack of Marines following this. But all the siege tanks have actually been destroyed. There's only 1 siege tank remaining. More Banelings are being worked at the top of the ramp for Reap. He is dealing with a lot of Marines that are actually punched up in that choke point, though, but that is not a good place for those Marines to actually engage if those Banelings actually do morph in. But a lot of Zerglings are actually being killed right now at the moment. It does look like almost all of the Zerglings will actually be killed before those Banelings are actually able to come in and save everything. And this is looking really, really good for Void.
Yeah, a Void right now at 170 to 130 supply. He's at 70 workers. He's hit that sweet spot. He's got so much production. He really needs to actually add it on as he's starting to float a little bit of money here. But he is in a great position to win this game. Reap still has not been able to tech the Hive. Oh, no, he is at Hive. And he's actually going to 3-3, which is actually going to help him a lot. But NrG avoids third attack upgrade is starting right now, and an Ultralisk Cavern coming down, but not enough gas income for our Zerg player to really support the number of Ultras he's going to want.
We also have our Terran player going up to 4 bases behind this. His production right now is absolutely off the hook. All those barracks constantly producing units. And actually, I don't know if Reap will actually be able to hold off this attack with enough cost efficiency to actually make use of all of those tech options that he's actually going for. So instead, he's going to be going for a counterattack of his own. He is coming down here. That is not a planetary fortress. He will be able to force the lift on that command center. He's actually drawing all of Void's army back to defend against this attack. No more pressure from our Terran player, and Reap is actually going to go home behind this. He's actually bought himself enough time to continue production to catch up to Void's supply, but Void is still maxed out.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job of staying alive at this point, but take a look at his other bases that have come up. There's no geysers there, there's no drones there. He's actually not mining from them, so they're not all that beneficial, but here's a huge attack in the middle of the map. The Marines running backwards. No real Banelings in this army, though, and no Infestors, so these Marines are going to be incredibly hard to kill.
Look at Reap's money, Buddha. He is down so low with no excess resources to actually use for splash damage. It is really just Surglings and Mutalisks, but that Marine count is just way too high. The upgrades are just way too good. I don't think that Reap can actually hold this. I think unless he manages to get some good Baneling hits off, I think this might be the end for our Zerg player. A single Ultralisk is on the field, but it is going to get gunned down very quickly by all of those bio forces, and now Reap's natural expansion is actually under attack. His Hive is actually under attack. Good Baneling hits, but I just don't think it's enough. There's just too many Terran units here.
Yeah, no, Void playing this really well, and I think a big deal was those early Mutalisks getting caught out of position. And there's the GG from Reap, so Void taking game number 1 for NrG over Metagaming. And, well, taking that first game lead is a big deal, man.
Absolutely, Buddha. Getting that first win puts your team in such a great position. We actually saw it last week with Team Impulse versus Team, I forget who they were playing against at the moment. I should remember, I was just so dumbfounded from that game. But that went to a Game 7 where there was a constant trade back and forth between the two teams. It was StarCraft Ascension, that's who it was. It went constantly back and forth, like really, really evenly. But because Impulse won the first game, it put them in a really good position to actually end up taking the final game, because they were able to pick the player and the map for the final games. So having that first win puts you in such a strategic position continuing in through this series right now.
Yeah, so now we're going to have to see who Metagaming is going to send out to try to snipe the Terran player Avoid. And Avoid is a really good player, man. I know a lot of my old teammates used to practice with him all the time, and it's scary, man. Did you see those splits? He did it like time and time again. There was only one battle where I was like, oh, well, he actually took a lot of damage from those Banelings. But the rest of them, like, he was running back from those so efficiently, leaving just enough units out front and, like, doing it at the last second so all the Banelings, like, were still on attack move, because he was like, ha, I'm going to crush all these. And, you know, you attack move and not regular move them at that point. And, oh, my goodness. I am really excited to see the next game. You know what? I think the biggest deal in that game was the complete and total lack of Infestors because of the Mutalisk change that came out, and I think he thought he had to go for Ultralisks right away, but I don't know that that was the right choice.
Yeah, it really did feel that, like, that initial pressure just kind of threw Reap out of his rhythm. Like, he had a strategy going forward in that game, and then once he started taking economic damage from those Hellions and Banshees, I think he started trying to react to what his opponent was doing, and Void was from then on out dictating where the game went, what tech paths were chosen. He was kind of playing his opponent from the beginning.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not really sure either, but I think he might have forgotten his lair because of that pressure. Like, his lair finished at like the 10-minute and 30-second mark. And,
well,
you know,
keep in mind how late he started his gases. That might have a lot to do with it also.
Yeah, well, definitely he droned really hard, but he had like no tech out by the time that first kind of push was kind of coming in.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been. I think that still could have been a result of just how late he took all of his gases. But I mean, again, like, Zerg really benefits from like trying to explode like all their tech and all their gas income all at once. But it just so happened that I think really what it came down to was that early aggression from our Terran player, his initial aggression with the Hellions and Banshees, just was very, very effective, and not only destroying some of his opponent's economy, but also kind of unnerving him and throwing him out of his macro rhythm. So that's really what I think kind of dictated the pace of the rest of the game. And then in the end, like, you're right, like the splits and like just how well his mechanics were like later on in the game, like he just looked like a phenomenal late game player in DBZ. So he's going to be tough to beat with another Zerg player. Yeah,
was really good. So, looks like if you're just joining us, sorry, but this is the last match in the first round of the playoffs for ISTL Season 2. This is the round of 8, and of course the top 3 top 3 places do get paid out. So thus far in the ISTL2, the teams that have made it on to the next. Oh God, I'm going to put myself on the spot here, aren't I? The teams that have made it on to the next part of the playoffs are My Intent, Impulse, and Infused. I'm like almost 100% sure that that's actually correct. So this will be the last team to make it in, and it's NrG versus MG plays Infused. So whoever makes it out of here, man, they're gonna have a tough match coming up next too.
Dude, Buddha, the ISTL is getting so ridiculous. We have Impulse versus My Intent in the top bracket, and we are going to have one of these 2 great teams going against Infused. And Infused actually won first place in the group stages, which is why they had a bye through the first round of the playoffs. So they are definitely a very strong team, our only non-North American team competing in the ISTL. So it is going to be such a competitive semifinal and potentially final match, like going through from here on.
Yeah. Well, do we have our next player coming up here yet, Murray?
It does not look like it. I think that Team Metagaming is going to take their time after that loss because Reap is a really solid player, like we said before. He's won some pretty good games for Metagaming in the past. So losing him in the first round like that, and Void just looks so good throughout the entire course of that game. Like there's really nothing about his game that I really think he could have done better. He just played TVZ like beautifully. It is a good thing for them to like take their time and make sure that they get the right player out to go against it, because you really don't want to be down in a 2-0 hole when everything is on the line right now.
Yeah,
if you win from here, if you win from here, you're only 1 series away from the money, and if you lose, well then you're gone until next season. So definitely, I agree with Metagame's decision to actually take their time on this one. But in the meantime, in case you are just joining us, I am Vindicare, and with me is the hilarious Buddha. If you'd like to see more of the stuff that we get up to, we both have our own individual streams. Buddha does a lot of fun stuff on his stream, and I do a lot of replay analysis and casting on my own stream. So you can find us at Buddhism StarCraft SC2, or is that Buddhist SC2?
It's Buddha SC2 on Twitter.
Buddha SC2 on Twitter, and at KT Vindicare on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Neither one of us really blow up our Twitter feeds all that much, so we won't be bothering you that much with stuff. So it's usually just when we go live, and if you'd like to catch us when we get up to certain things. But we're pretty fun guys, though, I think, Buddha.
Yeah, no, I think I'm really fun, actually. I think everyone here wants to hang out with me. And yeah. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us again, and just a quick shout out to all of our sponsors, because they are the ones that made this possible with the prize pool and everything. If you guys like the music that we played at the beginning and during all of our breaks, it is by Fourth Angel, and that is we are going fourth, not the number fourth. It's FORTH Angel, and you can find them on Spotify. Actually, I found them on Spotify, on iTunes, all sorts of places. Maxed out what?
And on YouTube too.
Oh, of course you can find everyone on YouTube, Vindicare. You crazy. And they gave us permission to use all their music, so we really appreciate it from them. You can find Maxed Out Studios. They do all of the video productions and stuff you find on the stream. So if you like that, they are looking to get more into esports, and you can find him at maxedoutstudio.com. And, looks like we're about ready to jump into our next game, Vindy. Do you want to go through the rest of the sponsors real quick?
Just a big thank you to Legends of Elveron. That's by a good friend of Team Impulse. Him and his group over there for their text-based MMO have provided the $50 gift card for our MVP. So big thank you to them. If you're into text-based MMOs, if you're just looking to try something different, please check out Legends of Elveron. And also a big thank you to Impulse Esports and all the guys that are on the support and production team. We've got all of our admins, all of our coaches, and everything else like that. Thank you to that for helping make the ISTL possible. It's been such a fun experience for me, especially too, to be on as one of the casters. And also thank you to all of our players and teams that have been participating. You guys have been awesome throughout. We does look like we have our next match coming up. It is going to be Bubba, another Zerg player, coming in for Team Metagaming, but it is going to be on Daybreak, and this is I think a little bit of a better map for at least for the way that Void was playing it earlier. I think that if he goes for the same sort of strategy, it'll be a little bit more difficult to execute on this map, but we'll have to actually see. I'm a little nervous, though, because Void looks so good in that last game against Zerg that I think this might be a little bit of a tough decision to send another Zerg player, but we will have to see.
Yeah, one thing about this map is that has a completely different dynamic. One thing we didn't see from Avoid last game, mostly because of the map, I think, was a lack of drops, right? And on Daybreak, your third base as a Zerg player is going to be much more spread out, and you're going to be a lot more prone to drops. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like 1 rack CC into Reactor Hellion into fast drops. Or, I don't know, I'm not Avoid, so he might open CC first again.
We will have to actually see what he is going to do. But first, he needs to be introduced. He is the red Terran player, looking so good in the Terran versus Zerg matchup in the last game. Will he be able to pull off a repeat performance? He is NrG's Avoid.
And spawning at the bottom left, we do have the blue Zerg player coming in for Team Metagaming, replacing the last Zerg that got knocked out. He's Bubba.
This guy's name is awesome, by the way.
Dude,
especially for like a Zerg player.
It only reminds me of Forrest Gump. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, why wouldn't it remind you of Forrest Gump? Like Forrest Gump spends like half the movie saying that name, and Tom Hanks was just hilarious in how he said it throughout the entire movie. So
yeah,
that is a really awesome movie, and Tom Hanks is an awesome actor. Just throwing that out there.
Tom Hanks doesn't sponsor the ISTL, Vindy. What do you?
Yeah, I know, but you know, like I like movies, and he's like a good actor, so whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, also too, I've heard like a rumor that like he likes to reenact World War II with his friends. Like if you go over to like Tom Hanks' house for dinner or something, he'll like try and get you to play like World War II with him. He'll like put on like a helmet with like a toy Thompson. He'll like dive behind the couch and be like, you know, he'll just get like really into it. I've heard rumors about that. I'm not quite sure where I heard that, but I thought it was hilarious when I was reading about it.
That's actually pretty insane. Well, it looks like we do have Bubba going hatch first, and NrG Avoid again going command center first. What? Okay, this is the second time he's done this. He stops his SCV at the top of the ramp, and I'm not sure what he's making his decision based on, because he did this on Cloud Kingdom as well, where he put his SCV at the top of the ramp, was like, no, we'll put it on the low ground. And this time he's doing it on the high ground, but again, no scouting after depot, so no real information that he's using to make this decision. He's just doing it.
I think because he revealed this build in the previous game, I think he was a little bit worried about an earlier pool build, because again, Avoid is not actually scouting his opponent, not early anyway. I think he's just putting this command center here as a precaution in case those Zerglings would be coming up towards his base, so that he could wall off that that ramp if he needed to. I think he has all of his timings just down to like really crisply. Like he has the timings worked out of when an early pool would have the Zerglings coming towards his main base, and so he just has that there as a precaution. So maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe he's just like, you know, just kind of winging it and doesn't really have everything worked out. But like I think players at this level do have that sort of thing like worked out for them.
Well, at least your analysis makes sense too, right? Logically, I don't know. Well, it does.
Does it, Buddha? Does it?
I would never dispute you. I'm in the gear, I swear. Well, it looks like Avoid's not even going to make his first Marine here after scouting and was a hatch first. And he's going to go double orbital and then start his first Marine. And we're going to see, of course, a fast factory follow-up again. Almost exactly the same build as last time, at least to open with. And, yeah. Do you think he might go for that Banshee Hellion opening again?
He might. I mean, but the thing is that, like, if that was like his like token build that he was going to use to like win a match, he might be convinced to like go for something different just because he revealed that build in the previous game. That's one of the things about these team league matches, is that like you could go for the same build over and over again and just try your luck against a different player, but also at the same time you did reveal what you were doing, and it does look like, I think, you know, if he does go for that Banshee build, he doesn't really have like gas to go for Cloak again. So he's really only on that singular gas geyser. I think this might just be, this might just be a Reactor Hellion build, and he is making a third command center now, so this will not be the same build.
Wow. Okay, so a little bit different. Second barracks coming down actually, and Bubba already at 44 supply, taking all of his gases a little bit faster than his teammate did last time. And he's got 4 queens out on the map, but not starting a 5th or 6th. So it's going to be a, oh no. He is starting a 5th. That's awkward.
Yeah, he's pulling up minerals for another queen by the looks of it. Nope, maybe. No, he's going to make additional drones. So not as many queens as his opponent, but still 4 queens getting those creep tumors started will allow him to spread creep all over this map. But we've seen some pretty ridiculous creep spread on this map, especially in the pro scene. We actually do have an Overlord getting gunned down by those Marines at the top center, which does supply block Bubba just temporarily. And actually, Yeah, that's actually a pretty good supply block for him because he's forced to make 2 overlords now. He's not going to be able to make any more drones until those overlords are actually complete.
Yeah, so Bubba either going to have to make some tech choices or just bank some money. He's not going to bank money, though. He's going to make tech choices in the meantime. And looks like a lair has come down, and actually, he doesn't really have all that much gas, so what has he been spending his money on? I'm really confused.
Well, he did just start. He did just start mining from his 4 gas geysers. So his gas income would be a little bit limited just to start things off here. He is going for upgrades as well as that layer and the metabolic boost upgrade that did get started. So all of his gas income is going to be devoted, I think, entirely to Zergling tech. Almost exactly the same sort of thing that we saw from Reap in the previous game. But I don't know if we'll actually be seeing Mutas again this time. Although this is a better map for Mutas in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think investors are absolutely a fine choice here too, though. So, you know, it's going to be kind of up to him, whatever style he likes, it looks like. And, yeah, 5 queen opening from our Zerg player, taking a pretty fast third before macro hatch, which is a little bit against the metagame. But what he did do is he sent that overlord in and saw that 3rd command center. So, you know, he does know Avoid is playing a little bit greedier, and he can do the same thing himself. So Avoid starting +1/+1, actually going for really fast siege tanks and siege mode here, not opting to go for drops before this. And I think we might have another 3 tank push out of Avoid here. Very, you know, old school.
We might. That's definitely a possibility, Buddha. The one thing that I haven't seen from Void that we saw in our previous game also was that we had he threw down a lot of like barracks before he even started really powering up his production. But this time he's really just been constantly producing units out of those those 2 barracks and that factory. We have him now throwing down an additional barracks and an additional factory. But I don't think he's actually interested in attacking as early as he was in the previous game. I think he's at this point just building just enough units to defend his 3 bases. He might even go up to a 4th base with the Planetary Fortress following this up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a possibility. I like Harbor in the middle of the map with that PF, but on this map, of course, not going to be as beneficial because of the lack of minerals and gas compared to the latter version of the map. This is the GSL version, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, look at the creep spread. It's pretty good so far. We already have pathogen glands almost complete. The macro hatch just going down now. And we're going to have a lot of infestors come out. Basically, when this push starts coming across from Avoid, if he chooses to move out, he might just start a 4th command center, but it looks like he has just finished powering in his base, adding on another factory, a few more barracks. We'll probably add on a little bit more in a bit, but Avoid's looking in a pretty good spot, but Bubba, with his tech, is not looking behind at all either.
What is slightly behind, at least for this part in the game, is that he's been playing a lot safer than Reap was to open things up, but his drone count is actually still pretty low. He was only at 56 drones a moment ago. He did just complete 10 more after that, but his opponent is already up to 58 SCVs, mining comfortably from 3 bases. So we have a 3-base Terran versus a 3-base Zerg. So Avoid is playing very heavily with his macro game right now, and we have a hive now coming up for our Zerg player, but I think that this Terran push will actually come before that hive actually starts. And, you know, the timing for all of this just seemed... I still like Avoid's timing in all of this. I think that if he does hit with this push, he will hit just before any sort of hive tech units can actually come out on the field. And if Bubba is actually banking gas for Broodlords or Ultralists, this push could do a lot of damage. Yeah, it definitely could. At the moment, though, we do have 5, almost 7 infestors out. Yeah, 7 now. And there are no medevacs out. He's actually adding... Avoid is actually adding a reactor to his starport right now, so... Fungals could do a ton of damage if Avoid is not completely ready for it. And that tech advantage for Bubba at the moment is really going to benefit him, assuming everything goes in his favor. And with that creep spread, he's going to know exactly where the army's coming from at all times. He's got a 4th coming up. And drop play, again, is going to be very, very limited for Avoid due to the lack of medevacs to kind of open this game up. We have 4 additional barracks actually being constructed for Avoid right now. Once this push starts, Buddha, it is not going to stop. With 2 factories and what is this now, 8 barracks constantly producing units, once Avoid starts being aggressive on this 3-base economy, he can afford to just never let up if he trades at least somewhat efficiently with his opponent. And we did see in the last game that Avoid has some very nice unit control. So I actually I'm starting to kind of pick apart what he's doing in this game. This is kind of like a delayed, more intense version of like that SC push on 2 base where there's just a ton of barracks units coming across the field. I don't actually think that Avoid is actually going to continue making siege tanks after this point. He's going to try and be as cost efficient with the ones that he has. He has 9 siege tanks actually out in the field, but he has a ton of barracks production. So if he trades with his opponent right now, he can just continue rallying units across the map.
All right, well, that Ultralisk Cavern is on the way, and look at this. Avoid kind of sensing that this is coming. Oh, well, let's take a sec to pay attention to the middle of the map. Siege tanks sieging up against the Infestors here, and oh my god, Avoid keeping all of those Marines alive just barely. Look at the supply difference. It's 162 to 117 right now, and, you know, all of Bubba's supply is in Harvesters. He's only got 30 army supply.
Yeah, this push is very well timed for Avoid right now. I'm really not quite sure what's going through Bubba's head. He doesn't really have as much army supply. He is starting Ultralisk right now, but he doesn't have anything to actually slow down his push right now. I think he may have thought that he had more time, that his opponent wouldn't actually be pushing out, but this push has already done quite a bit of damage. He's going to be able to deny this 5th base attempt. If he sent a smaller group up to the top left, he will be able to do a ton of damage over there, but a lot of bio units have actually been killed by consecutive fungals because the medevac count is so low.
Yeah, but take a look at Avoid's base right now. Ultralisks are coming out, but look how many tech labs Avoid has on these barracks. He's going to be pumping out a lot of Marauders and be almost completely ready for when this Ultralisk change comes out. And Avoid already has 2-2. 3-3 is on the way for Bubba with that chitinous plating, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, man. Here come the Ultralisk Endlings now, taking out 1 and 2 siege tanks, a 3rd and a 4th, and I think he's going to clean this army up, but I think Avoid's just going to have too much reinforcements coming down.
Going back to what I was just predicting earlier, Huda, once this push starts for Avoid, it will not stop. Even after this army gets cleaned up, he has a whole other army already ready to go at his base. Just as many Marines and Marauders that were just killed, 2 additional siege tanks. The 4th base up at the top was destroyed by a small group of Marines as well as a medevac, and the standing forces for Bubba is actually still really low. He does have a good economy, he does have a lot of production, but his standing army is just very, very small, so that Avoid will actually be able to kill this small group of Infestors and Ultralisks rather easily, and then have to deal with the reinforcements separately. He won't have to deal with a full maxed out Zerg army for quite a while unless he takes this long roundabout way instead of just attacking that 4th base directly.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have another engagement at the top of the map here. Infestors down, very low on energy. Avoid not really splitting, doesn't really need... There's only 40 Zerglings and a few Infestors out on the map right now for Bubba. He's making 4 more Ultralisks, but Avoid completely maxed out again, and he's going to kill 2 more bases off here.
Yeah, and even once this army gets cleaned up, Buddha, he has so much production, he'll just be able to remake most of these bio units. He's still mining comfortably from 3 bases. He has taken a 4th base behind all of this. Bogos are landing on all over that army, but all the Ultralisks and Zerglings have actually been killed. 2 more Ultralisks are actually coming out on the field right now, but both get gunned down by the very high Marauder count that is currently in Avoid's army. Avoid will eventually lose these bio forces unless he picks them up, which is beautiful, but he is going to lose them again to some fungal growth. So all those bio units are going to be killed, but we see another Terran force amassing in the middle of the map. This is almost like a Dota game where the army just keeps coming and will just keep coming forever. There's no way that Bubba can really go on offense right now. He is just so concerned with defending his base from these consecutive attacks that I think eventually, unless Avoid just completely bungles one of these attacks, I think he will just be able to eventually wear down his opponent and kill him.
Yeah, it's currently, oh my god, Infestors getting rallied out into these Marauders, and 3 of them go down for free, and Bubba right now standing with 2 Ultralisks, 2 Infestors, and 50 Zerglings. Not going to be enough, and I don't think he's going to last very much longer here.
Drones are being killed, gunned down too. Additional Zerglings are actually coming out on the field and are eventually cleaning up this army. And you know what? If Bubba really wants to survive these attacks, he really needs to start mixing in some Banelings. His opponent has a very low siege tank count and is mostly reliant on Marines and Marauders. Using these Ultralisks is not actually the best answer for what Avoid has out on the field. These Marauders are so cost effective against these Ultralisks. It would just be an easier decision for Bubba if he just went for Zerglings and Banelings to hold this off.
Yeah, I think you might be right, and well, it looks like we're gonna have another engagement down at the bottom of the map. These Ultralisks getting targeted down so quickly. Avoid kiting back just to negate that splash damage a little bit. And, you know, Bubba just keeps losing tech units over and over again. He's not able to reinforce his Infestor count at all. And Avoid losing his army over and over again, but Bubba can't really keep trading like this.
He also managed to keep managed to keep all of those medevacs alive from the previous engagement because there's no anti-air actually out on the field. It was really just Zerglings and Ultralists that were able to deny that army. And like I was saying earlier, a Void is just continuing to expand behind this. This is like a never-ending push. This push just will not stop. A Void's just going to keep rallying units across the map. He's going to keep trading with his opponent, and Bubba really needs to take a decisive victory here. He can't afford to continue trading units with his opponent.
Yeah, well, 5 Ultralists in this army this time. Good fungal going down, but only 1 Infestor out. All these Marauders going to target down these Ultralists oh so quickly.
That is so many Marauders.
Yeah. A Void really needs to add on more production here, man. Look at his money. He really could afford to, especially taking a 5th base now. And, oh, man, Bubba trying to take that 5th in the middle again. It's going to be canceled. I don't know, man. Bubba's doing a really good job of hanging on. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was dead a long time ago, but really just not enough units, I don't think.
The Ultralist count right now, Buddha, is higher than we have seen it previously in this game. I'm not quite sure where Bubba is getting the money to do this, but he now has 8 Ultralists out on the field. Only 2 Infestors, though. But this high Ultralist count is going to force his opponent back. He will not be able to deal with this high of an Ultralist count unless he maxes out. So this is buying Bubba just a little bit of time, but instead of actually keeping back at his base and building up his own forces, he is instead going to go deny the 5th base attempt of our Terran player. But I think this might be a mistake. If he catches his army out in the middle with so many Marines and Marauders, I think he actually will be able to destroy it. But here comes the engagement. Ultralists are coming in. That is a pretty good position for them. There is not a lot of room for a Void to actually move back, but so many Marauders in that army is actually gunning down a lot of those Ultralists. More Ultralists are being killed, but a lot of the Bioforces are actually going down too. Fungal Growths are landing. The Ultralist count has been reduced to just 3, but look at the reinforcements. They are coming up in just enough time to actually gun down the remainder of these Ultralists, but all the Fungal Growths do land, and both armies have actually been reduced to a very small supply count.
Yeah, a Void still up 30 supply at this point in the game. I really think some drops into the main could be beneficial for him, like 1 set of Marauder drops, but it looks like, oh my god, enough Zerglings out here to clean up probably all these Marauders. And, oh, good fungal going down on the medevacs. I think 6 just went down there. And now a Void kind of looking like he might be in a little bit of trouble here.
Indeed, the high Infestor count and consecutive fungals are taking its toll finally on the heavy Bioforces of a Void. He does not really have the siege tank count to actually gun down those Infestors, but this is what he needs to do, is actually kill off some of these Infestors. A few Infestors do actually go down, but the supply is starting to even out a little bit. And I really think that if Bubba just started mixing in some Banelings with this army, he could get the decisive engagement that he needs to take the supply lead again in this game. We do have some medevacs actually being loaded up with some Bioforces, so a Void is going to start now that drop play that you've been encouraging him to do throughout this game, Buddha.
Yeah, no, just sniping that Ultralist Cavern or the Infestation Pit is going to make such a big difference here. So many bio units in these medevacs. I think he can actually clean up most of the main, loses a medevac actually right there. And I don't know if Bubba can stop this. I don't know if he has any Infestors out on the map in position to help.
It does look like he will drive out of both of those medevacs. A single medevac is still alive, but again, this is buying a Void the time that he needs now to remake his army. A lot of additional units are being rallied down for our Terran player into the center of the map. The 4th base location was lifted for some reason because there was a Zergling there, like preventing the orbital from actually landing. But both sides are starting to equalize a little bit. The supply is now 172 to 178. And I think Bubba actually might be in a pretty decent spot from here. He now has a huge Ultralist count and a lot of Infestors. This could be the decisive engagement if it doesn't go very well for a Void.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really surprised here. I mean, I don't know how Bubba managed to stay alive with such a low supply count and, you know, really a lack of either Infestors or Ultralists at any given time, but it looks like a Void is going to force Bubba back, and Bubba's actually going to go through the middle of the map here. If he can get towards the production facilities as he kills off this army, he might be okay here. Big engagement in the middle, and oh man, so many Marauders here. This
is such a good position for our Terran player, though. The siege tanks are spread out. No damage actually is being done to them. Only bio units are being cut down. Siege tanks are able to do all the damage that they need to do, and all the Ultras actually go down. Scans are landing on the Infestors. Stim Marines and Marauders are running forward, trying to pick them off. Those Infestors are not on creep. They are so slow, trying to slither across the ground while these infantry units on drugs gun them down. Here come additional Zerglings to actually save the one remaining Infestor that manages to get back to his buddies. Boy, will he have a story to tell after that's all done.
Yeah, I have to say, Avoid's doing a great job of keeping the tempo of this push up, right? He never lets Bubba max out at any point in time. But one thing I have to say is he's got 3,000 minerals banked and 3,000 gas banked. If he added on a little bit more production and maxed himself out faster, I feel like he could have ended this game earlier.
It looks like he might end this game anyway with this push, Buddha. There is just not a lot of splash damage in the army. Fungal Growths are actually going down, and with Adrenal Glands, these Zerglings might actually be able to pick off the remainder of those Marauders. Marauders are pretty good against Ultralists, but they're not actually all that good against Cracklings, as they are called in Brood War. These Zerglings are going to be able to go down and take out this, and once again force a lift on this 5th base location. I think a Void would have been very wise to actually make that 5th base a planetary. It would prevent these Zerglings from actually being able to deny that base location again. And this is so back and forth, Buddha. Infestors are being killed in the middle of the map. Zerglings are running around all over the place. When did this turn into such a terrific game?
Yeah, no, Bubba's still alive, and that confuses me. I'm not gonna lie. It's 175 to 150 supply. Our Zerg player still down. Current unit count 105 Zerglings and 1 Infestor against all the Bio units, but 7 more Infestors being added on for Bubba. And Avoid still has to play this very carefully, man. So many Zerglings coming and attacking his forces right now.
All of those medevacs are very low on health and energy. You know, I really actually like this decision to just start making a ton of Zerglings. The Marauder count in our Terran army composition is so heavy. He doesn't really have that many Marines mixed in. And Marauders are good against a lot of things, but one thing they are not very good against is Zerglings. And Zerglings in this high number, I really think, is actually just a brilliant call by Bubba. I think he might actually be able to win the next engagement pretty handedly unless he catches himself in a bad position. He is forcing all the Zerglings back to the top. Avoid is with that drop up at the top base location. And actually all the Infestors are actually being caught down here at the 5th base location, completely exposed. A lot of them do go down, but Fungal Growths are landing all over the army. And here come the Zerglings. The cavalry is on its way down to take care of the remainder of this Terran army, but will they be enough?
I don't think so, man. I think Void is going to barely clean this up, and I think he's going to snipe the 5th base and then have to run away again. Oh, man.
That drop at the top is also landed again. There are no units actually able to take care of it, and Bubba is going to lose one of his mining bases. That is such a big thing for him right now. Both bases have actually been destroyed. Bubba has been reduced down to only his 3 initial bases, and none of them have resources left at it. Bubba is completely not able to mine right now. Our Terran player is still mining comfortably from that bottom left base. All of his other bases have been mined out, but he is still mining, and our Zerg player isn't, and I think that might actually be what does Bubba in this game, but he has held on for such a long time.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm sorry. I doubted Bubba for, like, this entire game, but he has really shown that you can have a lot of longevity with good unit composition out of Zerg. So it looks like 112 to 165 supply, 4 Ultralists, 4 Infestors, and 44 Zerglings is all that remains for Bubba at this point. Where is he going to choose to engage?
He's going to have to pick this battle very, very carefully, Buddha. This battle is actually going to decide Bubba's chances, but Zerglings are actually being caught out here in the middle. He is losing Zerglings for 3, and normally I would say that's not really a big deal, but considering the circumstances it is, those Zerglings are actually being caught by that bunker. All those Zerglings are actually just being completely wasted right now. He might be trying to buy time to build his Infestor energy up, but now the Ultralists are being caught. There are so many Marines and Marauders down here. They are going to take off the rest of the Ultralists, and there's the GG from Bubba.
Yeah, okay, that was actually a fantastic game. That went on for 32 in-game minutes, man. And again, I'm gonna say it. I counted Bubba out, but and then I started getting scared for Avoid every once in a while, right? Like, oh god, he's at Avoid's 4th. There's no planetaries anywhere. How is he gonna hold this off? Reinforcements come down, barely hold off the attack, and yeah, that was really a big back and forth coming down to the end there, down the stretch.
That, like I said, the layout of the map, the constant reinforcements, that really just looked like a Dota game going on there for such a long time, with the unit control of the 2 players really just deciding the whole thing. But eventually Avoid does manage to come away with that win, and really what sealed the deal for him was when he started going for that drop play.
Yeah, that was actually really smart, right? Because all the Infestors, he had cleaned them up over and over and over again. They had to be with the army, or else the army had no real survivability. And just well played by Avoid, well played by Bubba. And I don't think we can see another Zerg get sent out here at this point in time.
I don't know if we'll be able. If we do, Buddha, I don't actually know if we will be able to see a game that tops that from a spectator's perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was just a tremendous game for me to sit there and watch. At some parts, I was actually like, not wanting to cast because I just wanted to see what happened. But that was just crazy. And the thing is that I loved Avoid's build. I loved it so much. He sat and powered on 3 bases, and then once he got his production up, it never stopped. It was just a non-stop flow of Marines and Marauders and siege tanks to the middle of the map, just constantly sending them forward, trading with his opponent, gunning down hatcheries, gunning down queens and infestors, and that was it. It just never stopped. And Bubba was able to hold on for a long time, but eventually, if you punch something hard enough for long enough, you will eventually break it. And Bubba eventually went down, but that was still just a brilliant game. Brilliant defense, but just a brilliant game from both players.
All right, well, if you guys are enjoying yourself, please press that follow button on the Impulse stream. We are in the first round of the finals. Again, this is the last match, so we're going to be moving on to the semifinals and then grand finals in the next week. Actually, tomorrow is the first semifinals game, is it not? Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you might be right.
It's going to be infused against the winner of this match tonight. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night. That is Monday, July 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 Pacific. And yeah, that's going to be a fantastic match. Also, we have been having great games all season, you guys. So make sure you press that follow button and come back for next season and the rest of this season.
Yeah, but there was a lot of there's a lot of hype, at least from us, coming into this game, just because the last 2 series have been so good. But already, with that last game already underfoot, we have this has been such a tremendous playoff run for all of these teams. It has just been so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to the next round of the playoffs. I'm really looking forward to seeing which of these teams manage to make it to the finals. NrG is looking really, really good right now, but Metagaming is still in it, man. They still have 2 more players on their roster that could possibly come back for them in the series, but they are down 2-0. And Avoid has just looked so good throughout this game, throughout this series, that they are going to have to really pull something very, very clever if they want to knock him down and get back in the series. But they are not out yet.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So I'm not sure who we're going to have sent out next. I don't have a report yet from my very favorite person, Marine. Do we have a race yet? Terran? All right, we have a Terran coming out. So we have a TVT, my favorite matchup, actually. Not going to lie.
We have Tal'Darim Alter as the veto. Very nice choice from our Terran player to veto that map. That map is just, I used to really like that map, but now that the game has evolved and maps are no longer terrible, I have that map veto constantly now as a random player. It's just not even for any sort of imbalance. It's just that map is not as much fun to play on anymore as some of the newer ones. I really wish they would put Metropolis back in the game, back in the ladder map pool, because that map is so much fun to play on. Daybreak's a ton of fun. Condemned Ridge is actually a ton of fun. I've had nothing but really fun games on that map.
You might have a lot of people disagree with you on that one. I don't know.
I mean, all right, sure, there are annoying things about it, but because the map is so massive and so open, you get so many ridiculous macro games on it. But then again, also because people don't want to play macro games on it, because they know that it'll take 40 minutes all the time, you get a lot of people that are just all right, this map's dumb. I'm just gonna 6-pull on this map. My last ZVZ on that map was actually a 6-pull drones on it. It was an RVR too. I was like, I knew it. Whenever it's random, it's always a mirror. It always happens that way.
Ridiculous to do a 6-pull and pull drones against a random player. What if he gets Terran? I don't understand. Oh well, whatever.
The funny part was we were in cross positions on that map, so I actually went back and watched the replay because I went for I think a 15-pull hatch, and I just scouted the Zerglings and drones coming up with my Overlord as it was moving out the front. So I canceled my hatch immediately, started making a ton of Zerglings, was able to hold off the push, and he GG'd out. I am reading the chat. This is a best of 7. We are currently in game. This will be game 3 going into this. So Avoid is actually up 2-0 for his team, and I'm still waiting to see who our Terran is going to be from Team Metagaming. But they're in kind of a tough spot. And like I said before, though, they are going to have to pick somebody who not only is able to knock down Avoid, but also potentially take another game also if they want to tie this up.
Yeah, I don't know who it is yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be Legend actually. His TVT is pretty good. The last time we saw it, he played against NMX's Masa, who doesn't really lose in TBT. So that wasn't
Masa doesn't lose at all. He just doesn't lose. That guy just doesn't know how to lose.
That's not the best example, and I don't think. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I don't think that's the player we're gonna have play. What?
Oh, Buddha, you are. Like, I need to know your reaction about this right now, because this is obviously one of your former teammates, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's actually one of my really good friends. I actually didn't know he was on metagaming. All right, well, we are going to have Psych, also known as Mitch, or the Potato Terran. And, you know, he's actually,
explain that to me when we get in game.
He's actually really good at TBT. And I'm excited to see it, man. He picked Entombed Valley, which is a huge map, of course. And on MLG, you cannot spawn horizontally, so... I don't know how he opens anymore or anything, but I'm really excited because I have not seen Psych play in a really long time.
Well, Buddha, this is one of my least favorite maps for TBT, but we should nonetheless see a pretty good game out of these two players. And if we don't, at least you get to make fun of your friend, like, for winning or losing or however this goes out. But this is going to be game number 3. It is on Entombed Valley. It is a Void versus Psych. This is the ISTL, and I am Vindicator, and with me is Buddha, in case you are just joining us. We are getting this countdown started just right now. We are getting into this game in just a moment.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this a little bit, because Psych and a Void, I think, have their differences now. Like, they're not the best of friends anymore, but they used to play all the time together. I remember just obsing so many games between them, so there might be a ton of metagaming going on here. They're pretty even MMR-wise, so I'm sure they hit each other on the ladder at least every once in a while. And yeah, I'm super excited. We have cross positions here on MLG Entombed Valley, where we have NrG's Avoid spawning at the bottom left.
And spawning up here in the top right, we have our player formerly of Team Air, and he is now playing for Team Metagaming. We have our blue Terran player. We have Psych.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Psych is really good. I think he has 1,000 points on ladder right now. He's absolutely fantastic. You know, all these players always playing GMs and stuff, but I know for a fact that Psych is up there. So we'll see what kind of shape he's in, since his computer crashed a little while ago. His video card wasn't running StarCraft, so he was playing League for a long time. But I know he's been back and in practice. So what do you think we're gonna see here, Mr. Vindicator? I want to hear your call right now.
I actually have no clue, like, from a Void. Like, he has played two very, very different styles in Terran versus Zerg so far, but easily both builds that he went for in Terran versus Zerg could easily just as work in TBT, but he is not going to be opening up with a command center first, so he's not going to be playing quite as greedily as he did in the previous game. Psych is actually not opting to wall off, and the thing is about this map is very unfriendly, especially in these positions, to tank lines, especially for this matchup, because there's so much room for you to actually maneuver around tank lines in the middle of the map that it's very difficult to actually get into those siege tank stalemates that we see so often on other maps. So I think we're going to be seeing more mobility from both of these players, probably some earlier Marauder builds, or maybe potentially even some Sky play, but lately I haven't really been seeing all that much in terms of, like, super heavy siege tank play from Terrans on this map.
Yeah. Okay, well, a little bit of background information. I know Psych really likes his 1 rack CC into 3 racks with 2 reactors, and he hits, like, this stim +1 timing where he, like, kind of scans as all of his Marines hit the front of the base, and he, like, if he thinks he can win the battle, he just stims and tries to run up and crush the front. And, you know, if you don't have siege tanks out in time, if you're opening bio and your stim is a little bit late, or, you know, you didn't go for those reactors as quickly, then you just kind of die to it if you don't have a bunker in place, which a lot of times in TBT is the case if you're not teching like a Void is.
I've died to so many of those, like, heavy marine pushes on ladder, Buddha, that I always make a bunker now regardless. I'm a little bit more passive when I play this matchup, but again, it really does come down to a lot individual players, individual play styles. There's so many different ways to actually play this matchup. No two Terrans are quite alike in how they approach this game. We do have 2 additional barracks actually going down for our red Terran player of Void, and for Psych, he is actually pulling a lot of resources. And here come 4 additional barracks for Psych. So we are going to be having a 1-rack CC into 4 racks for our blue Terran player, and a 1-rack CC into 3 barracks for our red Terran player. Both gases are going down for a Void, but no gases are actually going down for a red Terran player. So I think we might actually see that very heavy Marine opening you were just talking about. A 5th barracks is actually being produced also on top of this, so this is going to be a very heavy bio push.
Yeah, and all of these are going to be in 1 scan's worth range if a Void hits the very center of his base here. So very little tech going to come out of Psych here. I'm interested to see, well, he's not going to be able to drop another command center anytime soon, it looks like. And, well, is he just going to, like, walk across the map with a bunch of SCVs? And, like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of concerned for both players. Like, this is going to go really, really heavily one way or the other, I think.
Definitely, Buddha. I think we might actually see some SCVs being pulled in this push. We have no additional gases going down whatsoever. I think this might just be a very big Marine timing. And the thing is what you were saying earlier, there is actually no bunker down for a Void, so I'm getting very nervous for him right now. If he has no bunker down, he will not be able to hold this many Marines with SCVs or without SCVs.
Oh my god. So right now, Psych's moving across the map. Thank goodness for a Void that he has that watchtower. He's going to see this coming across. But look at this. A Void adding 2 reactors, and as he adds them, Psych pushes out. There's going to be no Marine production for a little bit for a Void here. And a Void pulling his Marines back. Not sure whether or not he can hold this immediately. He's not even going to have time to start a bunker here. Psych now taking 3 gases, and this might be a little bit scary here.
It is going to be pretty scary for a Void. He does have some Marines up at the top in a pretty good amount for what his opponent actually has, but Psych is actually getting a good read on his opponent's defenses to determine whether or not he actually wants to push up that ramp, and he is actually going to push up that ramp. So here comes Psych. SCVs are being pulled for a Void. I think a Void's actually going to start target firing SCVs, which he is. He's target firing some of them down. A lot of SCVs actually are being killed in this, but it does look like a Void might be able to hold this off, but combat shields are on the way for a Void's Marines as well as +1. There is no upgrades going up for Psych because his gases were so late, and I think a Void might actually be able to hold this off.
Yeah, so let's talk about the state of this game right now. Psych cut a couple of SCVs to get out those barracks so quickly, so he is currently at 30 to the 29 of a Void. He did kill 8 in that engagement there, so definitely evened it out a little bit in that sense. But you're right, a Void is going to have a lot of tech up a lot faster, and that's going to be really damaging to Psych here.
Combat Shields has just finished, and now Psych knows that he is up against superior upgrades on those Marines, and a Void is actually going to push all of these Marines back. And do we have like any sort of tech coming up for Psych? He is dropping a lot of additional reactors as well as tech labs by the looks of things. So this is going to be nothing but straight bio from Psych. I actually think that both of these tech labs are really just going to be for stim and combat shields. I don't think we're really going to be seeing Marauders. This is really just a Marine build for Psych. He is making a 3rd command center on top of it, but his opponent has superior upgrades on those Marines, and he is going to be getting a starport out pretty soon. So there is going to be medevacs to support his Marines. His Marines have superior upgrades, and I really don't know how Psych is going to be able to deal with this.
Yeah, at the moment, it looks like a Void does have a pretty big tech lead. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that as these 3 reactors finish up for Psych, take a look at his Marine production. It's 5 Marines against 8. His stim is going to be done at the same time. His +1 is going to be quite a bit behind, but with a very, very hefty, large Marine count, he might be in okay shape to hold off any kind of pressure that a Void wants to send at him, especially since medevacs look like they're going to be pretty late here. I think stim's going to be done by the time any kind of drop can land in his base.
The one thing, though, Buddha, is that, like, it does look like Psych is really being the aggressor in this matchup so far. I think that if he sits back and tries to be passive with that 3rd command center, I think that might actually be a better call, because his opponent is neglecting siege tanks. He doesn't really have like the tech that he would really need to kill him with this push. But here come a lot of Marines moving across the map right now. Those Marines do have combat shields, but by the time that they get to Psych's base, Psych is going to have a bunker, a superior Marine count, and combat shields also to match his opponent.
Yeah, and you know, right now a Void just can't kill Psych, but Psych also can't kill a Void, right? Like, they're at the stalemate where if they try to walk across the map, then it's going to be, you know, a trade either way. So both players kind of sitting at home, and it looks like a Void's moving out. His stim is about to finish, and actually, he might hit this sweet timing where there's 30 seconds left for Psych's stim, and it is not done yet. And that could be really scary.
But there is actually a bunker down for Psych too, and that bunker might allow him to actually hold this off. So it's all going to depend on positioning for a Void, but Stim is almost done for Psych. There is 6 seconds left on it. He should be engaging right here, but a lot of Marines are actually being gunned down before Stim actually finishes for Psych. And it does look like a Void might actually be able to get this command center. He does. So the command center goes down. A lot of Marines have been killed, and it does look like a Void is just going to go home after that.
Yeah, and Psych knows he can't engage this army without this bunker right now. +1 is not done for him. It is done for a Void. A Void even has a siege tank now. He's going to start sieging up the high ground here. And, oh man, Psych is going to be forced to engage pretty soon. Let's see. He's going to push down now. Bad engagement there. Really not giving up a lot of surface area, and this is looking really, really good for a Void.
This is the single scariest siege tank in the history of StarCraft 2. There is nothing but Marines up at the top of that ramp. There is no medevacs. There are no bunkers. SCVs are being pulled. I think Psych might have just enough to hold this, but so much damage has been done to this economy. A lot of SCVs have actually been killed in all of this. And actually that siege tank is now up to 13 kills. And a Void actually finishes off all of that army. This is looking so bad for Psych. The supply is at 93 to 44. The second siege tank has actually been brought to the party. He has 5 kills also. So many Marines and so many SCVs have actually been killed in all of this carnage. It's been such a bloodbath, but I think a Void actually might come away with this one.
Yeah, so what ended up looking like a pretty cool build from Psych actually put him too far behind tech-wise, and a Void hitting that perfect timing right before Stim killed off just enough Marines to take out Psych's third, and then Psych was forced to try to break the contain, pulling more SCVs here, and there is no way he is going to live through another 5 minutes in the game.
No, but those siege tanks right now are absolute heroes. They have killed so many Marines. One of them is a captain, another one is a sergeant, 15 and 12 kills respectively. And even though Psych has a ton of Marine production, he doesn't have anything that can really compete with those medevacs or those siege tanks. GG calls Psych. A Void puts NrG up 3-0 in this best of 7. This is looking pretty bad for Team Metagaming right now. That was a pretty cool build by Psych, but it just didn't really work out, and his opponent's build was just so crisp to follow that up.
Yeah, I think the most confusing thing to me is that Psych chose that map. It's a really long map, and he got cross positions and saw that, and then he went for the 5 racks follow-up. So, you know, kind of a weird decision there. I think he was trying to metagame a little bit because, again, I know he's a huge fan of hitting the exact same timing a Void hit, actually, which is a combat shield stim +1 with, you know, those 3 barracks and the first 2 medevacs. And a Void did the exact same thing that Psych does to most of his opponents, man. He just, like, kind of stimmed in there and won because of upgrade, a slight advantage,
well,
you know?
You know, that might go back to what you were saying earlier, though, Buddha. I mean, these guys play each other a lot, apparently. So both of them are probably very well aware of that build that a Void went for. So I think Psych was like, Psych was kind of psyching himself out, going like, well, if a Void's going to do the build that I always do, maybe this build will kill it because I've lost this build before or something. You know, something must have been going through Psych's head where he which kind of forced him to make that decision to go for that 5 racks build, but it just didn't really work out all that well. Yeah,
no, it didn't. And it might have been a map thing too, you know, maybe he lost to that build on Cloud Kingdom or something where the rush distance was shorter, and that 5 racks little stint where you had all that extra Marine production hit, you know, where you had like 3 more Marines, and he took so much more damage previously. But on Entombed Valley in those cross positions, it is such a long walk distance. A Void saw it the whole way across with that watchtower, and you know, that game just did not end in metagaming's favor. So now NrG is actually up 3-0 against MG. And who is MG going to send out next, man? They've gone through 2 Zergs and a Terran. Are they going to send a Protoss out? Or I feel like a Protoss is snipeable. You know what I mean?
You know, a Void is just demonstrating such a high level of Terran play. His mechanics are solid. His his build orders are like perfect to the letter. He has everything timed out, and we did get to see in that first game that he also has some brilliant biocontrol. And what is that one thing that separates good Terrans from great Terrans in TVP? It's biocontrol. So I don't actually know. You know, like, I'm looking at a Void, and I'm like, you know, a TVT is probably going to be the thing that he has, like, the most weakness against. But again, MG is in such a bad spot because they have to take down a Void. They can't use a sniper to take down a Void because then their sniper is going to have to then go and kill 3 people after that if they want to stay in this game. So I really don't know. I don't know, Buddha. Like maybe we might see a Protoss, but a Void has looked so good today that I think we might see an all kill today.
Yeah, I think we might. But you know, NrG or MG is going to have their ace in the hole, right? You always save. Well, you don't always save, but a lot of times you save your best player for last, just so that you have the best odds of winning at the very end if you need something like a reverse all kill, which is a potential here. So we'll have to see who MG picks to send out next. But in the meantime, you guys, one more shout out to our sponsors. Music is going to be, or the music is from Fourth Angel. Again, that's we're going fourth, not. Wait, that actually works both ways, doesn't it? Go forth, my son. That kind of fourth.
We're going fourth. That's after third. I'm fourth in line.
I know. Well, whatever. It's Fourth Angel, Forth Angel, and you can hear their songs during the break that I think we're gonna take in just a second. Not exactly sure, but I definitely need some water. And Maxed Out Studios, Max at maxedoutstudio.com does a lot of the video work and a lot of the background work for the ISTL. Oh my goodness, I'm like losing it over here, Vindicare. What is wrong with me? It is so hot in California! And yeah, so please email Max at maxedoutstudio.com. And they are an entertainment/media group trying to get into the StarCraft and esports scene, so feel free to contact them. Legend of Elveron, of course, giving that $50 MVP prize away to the one player that they think made the biggest difference in the league. So that is really awesome. You can check their text-based MMO out over at elveron.com. That's our very own Quaffle, of course. And please check out Impulse Esports, impulseesports.com. They run the ISTL, and I'm happy enough to be a part of that team. Please follow us at imp_esports, and that, of course, is our list of sponsors, Vindicare. I'm tired.
You know what, Buddha? We are going to be in for a long night because we have a Legend coming out to go against the Void. We are going to. This is a reverse all kill, folks. We are on reverse all kill watch because Legend lives up to his name more often than not. He is a phenomenal Terran player. So this is the ace that Buddha was talking about that MG had in the hole. Now the one question is there a player on NrG that is actually better than a Void? If there is, well, that's great for all of us because we get to see more tremendous play from both of these players. But if there isn't, well, Legend's a tough opponent. So we have the work cut out for both players right now. Can a Void make this all kill happen and put himself in the running for the MVP award that Buddha and I were talking about? Or will we see the start of a comeback from Team Metagaming? You guys will find out in just a moment as soon as we can get rid of the extra people that are in our lobby. So I can get this game started. Once again, if you're just joining us, I am Vindicare. With me is Buddha. This is the ISTL. This is the first round of the playoffs. We are going to be getting into Game 4 of this series between Team Metagaming and Team NrG. Guys, if you're watching this, please press that follow button up at the top of the stream so you can see how the rest of the ISTL turns out. We also have threads on Reddit and Team Liquid. Please go bump those and upvote those so that we can get some more exposure for semi-professional esports. This stuff is a lot of fun. We're going to be getting this game going in just a moment. The countdown is just about to start.
It is indeed, and let me tell you, I am really excited to see how Legend opens here. He did pick Antigua Shipyard, which I think is an okay map to go mech on in TVT, you know, relatively speaking. And last time we saw him play against Masa, it was actually, I don't remember what map it was on because apparently I didn't write it down because I'm really bad at keeping notes. But we saw him do some really cool stuff. Masa opened with a Banshee, and Legend was repairing with just enough SCVs to like give SCVs one more hit against the Banshee. It was like, I was like, oh my god, what is going on? This is so awesome to see. But we do have NrG's Void currently up 3 games in a row against Metagaming. Spawning on the right-hand side of Antigua Shipyard.
And spawning over here in the left position on Antigua Shipyard, we have our blue Terran player from Team MG. If he manages to pull off this comeback for his team, he will definitely be a legend. We have MG's Legend.
All right, well, it's TVT, so we're going to see them both make a supply depot, of course. We don't see very many SCP rushes in TVT at this level. Not very often, at least. And oh, man.
You know, we did see those sometimes in Brood War, because SCVs had like 60 hit points, right? Like, you had 60 hit point SCVs that if you had really good control, you could actually repair them and, like, out-damage your opponent's SCVs. But, like, we don't see that in StarCraft 2. But one of those things about, like, you know, Brood War that, like, because the pathing was so bad, you could actually abuse that to make, like, certain rushes work that would never work in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, no, like, the auto-attack in Brood War was sometimes a little bit ridiculous. But, looks like we have our first development here. We have a gas first out of Legend.
We did a gas first out of Legend. That is actually good for a variety of upgrades, the most popular of which is usually the faster Banshee and potentially even Cloak, but that could also be used for things like a Reaper Expand. I actually like going gas first for Reaper Expands myself in TBT. If your opponent is going for something like a Command Center first, that is such a brutal build to actually deal with. But for our Red Terran player Avoid, he is going for what looks like it's going to be a 1-Rax Expand, which is pretty much exactly the way that he opened in the previous game. When he throws down his gas, it will probably be the determining factor in how he's going to attack from here on out.
Yeah, looks like Legend looking for proxies over at his third base. Really smart, of course. This map is forced cross position, so by looking for that, he is really making sure that Avoid isn't trying to get a free win here. And it looks like we're gonna have a 1-Rax expand with 1 depot from Avoid, my favorite kind.
From Avoid did actually manage to scout the fact that his opponent had that gas before that barracks. The barracks was not complete in time, so that is a pretty big tell for Avoid. And he does see the fact that this factory is actually going up on top of this barracks. So this is going to definitely warn Avoid that a Banshee is going to be coming very, very soon. He should be dropping an engineering bay pretty quickly, but this is definitely going to be a Banshee build coming up for Legend.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. I thought possibly we were going to see Hellion drops or something, but I think you're absolutely right. And I'm not sure how Avoid is going to follow this up. You know, one thing he can do is he can just double gas and go for a fast factory into a fast starport, but instead he's adding on more racks. So I think you're right. I think he's going to either drop a scan or just blindly make an eBay here, which would not be a bad decision. This is going to be one of the fastest Banshees you can get in StarCraft 2.
We don't have that second gas geyser down either, so this is definitely going to be a one. It's going to be like maybe 1 or 2 Banshees, no Cloak. So he could hold this off with Marines if he has really good control and patience, but he still should be making an engineering bay anyway, just in case. The other thing is too, because his opponent is opening for this Banshee build, if he went for an engineering bay, he'd be able to get up those bio upgrades for a solid counterattack. But instead, we have him throwing down a lot of additional barracks, so we'll have a ton of Marines to hold off this Banshee attack.
Yeah, properly micro Banshee, of course, not going to take all that much damage from Marines, but with how many Marines are coming out, I mean, I don't know how good Legend's micro is, but it has to be pretty darn good to not lose it to Marines eventually here. So it looks like he is going to go ahead and expand at this point, and this is becoming much more common. The Banshee with no Cloak, just to put on some pressure. You get really good scouting with it, right? You get to see exactly what's in your opponent's base without dropping a scan. It doesn't take that much gas, and it gives you a lot of map control. And we could see a mech transition here, too. It all depends.
We could see a mech transition. I actually really like this build for mech transitions. And one of the other things is too, though, is that this build, for all of its benefits on offense, it does leave you with a pretty glaring weakness in your own defenses because of how much of your early resources is going into that Banshee. So things like this very heavy Marine attack are actually a lot more difficult to hold because look at Legend's defenses. He only has 4 Marines and 2 Hellions to defend against a lot of Marines coming across the map. But he doesn't really have any units in his base to deal with this Banshee. That is 1 Banshee versus 3 Marines. 1 Banshee by herself can kill those 3 Marines and with absolutely no trouble whatsoever. Those Marines are going to go down, so SCVs are going to follow. But we have an attack coming up here from Avoid, who is managing to clear out a lot of Hellions and Marines also, but he's pulling all of his Marines back. I don't actually know about that.
Yeah, looks like he's going around the back side for, I don't really understand why. Doesn't have any medevacs or anything. That's kind of weird. But it looks like this Banshee has cleaned up a good number of units here. 8 kills. That's a mixture of Marines and SCVs. 4 SCVs have gone down for Avoid at this point. So not too much economic damage, but you know what's really weird here is Avoid is actually going for the exact same build that Sight did last game.
It definitely does look like that, Buddha. He isn't adding on any gas. That Banshee is still actually in the base, getting another SCV kill and another Marine kill. So she is up to 10 kills. She is a Sergeant, 11 kills. She will be getting 12 in just a moment. If if Avoid can manage to save this Banshee, it will definitely have paid for itself twice over. Remember that magic number is 6 kills on a Banshee. Banshee is getting another Marine and another SCV. She is up to 14 kills, but I think that Marine might actually be enough to kill it. No, the Banshee manages to get away with 2 hit points. That Banshee is such a hero. She is up to captain status. We have a lot of additional Marines coming down here for Avoid, but his timing is actually no longer there. There are enough units here for Legend to actually hold off this Marine attack, and now Avoid is in a bad spot. He has lost so many SCVs and Marines to that Banshee, and his tech advantage with all of those Marines is actually gone. His opponent's production is matching his, and he is even getting siege tanks now on top of this, or could potentially go for siege tanks, but that is actually a reactor being built on that factory.
All right, so Legend actually just microed all of those Marines beautifully, pulling back the injured one, something we don't see very often in Marine versus Marine fights. And, you know, okay, so Avoid moved across the map with all those Marines initially at the beginning and forced a cancel on Legend's command center, and Legend said, okay, if you're going to do this, I'm going to add on a lot more barracks. And he added those barracks on and then took his expansion. So Avoid, thinking that expansion, you know, wasn't cut for the production, thought the production was still low from Legend and attacked anyways, and then Legend just, like, completely stomped on his army there. So Avoid now no longer in a significant lead, even though he had that Harvester lead so early. 9 Harvesters have been killed now, 40 to 34, and Legend is, you know, he did enough damage, I think.
The one thing that Avoid still has going for him is that he is getting stimmed down earlier than his opponent. His opponent is going for combat shields and +1, but Avoid is going to have stim a little bit earlier. That Banshee that has done so well for Legend is actually now finally being killed, and I'm so sad to see that Banshee actually go. But she was able to take down an additional Marine before she went down. We have a drop going over here for Legend. His Marines are not actually being scouted, and there are actually no defense in Avoid's base to actually hold this off. These Marines are going to be able to do a lot of damage. They do have stim. That is 8 Marines with stim, and everybody knows how much damage Marines do to SCVs that are mining and not actually attacking. So a lot of SCVs are actually being killed. The turret goes down also. Those Marines now have combat shields as well. So this is actually a real big attack for Legend, actually killing a lot of Avoid's economy. We have another engagement over here at the bottom of Legend's base, but with so many more units, he actually is able to clean that up, and it does look like Avoid will finally fall in this game. GG.
Woo! Wow! That was fantastic, man. Like, the decision-making from Legend, like, over 4 times, plus the micro he did, like, that Banshee got so many kills, he kept so many Marines alive, just with that little bit of micro at his natural. He had a couple of Hellions just adding a little bit of splash damage to Avoid's Marines. Avoid powered really, 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 really hard, and then his army was just slightly out of position in the middle of the map instead of in his base when that drop came across. He didn't know it was coming, and that was an awesome game.
That was indeed a terrific game played by our Grandmaster from Team Metagaming. I'm actually looking at his record right now. He is 45-41, rank 105 Grandmaster on Team Metagaming, just demonstrating why he has that status. That was just a terrifically played game of TBT from our player from MG. And so now MG's finally on the board. It's 3-1. They have their best player out right now going up against Team NrG, and NrG now is going to have to decide how they're going to try and snipe him. They've got 3 attempts, but this is a pretty tough boss to actually overcome.
Yeah, NrG's got a lot of GMs too, though, man. And, you know, we've seen Mihai get an all-kill in ISTL. We've seen so many good players from NrG come out and just take games over and over again. So Legend's going to have a really, really rough road ahead of him, but avoid putting NrG in a really, really good position and forcing MG with their back against the wall, man. Legend is their last player. Now, you know, the coach has nothing to do but, like, sit back and be like, all right, I really hope you win all these games, and, you know, chill back in his chair, put his head back, and just watch.
Yep, basically
that's what I coach.
The coach for NG is basically just pulling an Eric Spoelstra. It's just like, hey, go kill their team, Legend. Like, you're my boy.
Oh, not that joke again. Oh my god.
You're my boy, Legend.
Did you just watch that movie like yesterday or something?
No, it's just that every now and then, like, I'll get like a little bit of old school stuck in my head, and I'll just start quoting that movie. It is so quotable. It's actually more fun to quote that movie than to actually watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot for sticking around, you guys. We really appreciate it. Again, this is the round of 8 of the playoffs for ISTL Season 2. This is the last round. The next game, or next match, rather, is tomorrow night, July 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm getting all these times down, stuck in my head now. And, yeah, of course, we do have to finish this series up for tonight. It is 3-1. It is a best of 7. So, like we said before, MG on the back foot, but with a great player out there.
Yep, Legend is definitely a very solid Terran player. But NrG, like we said, does have 3 tries to take him down. They do have plenty of Grandmasters to actually compete with Legend. He definitely has a harder road ahead of him, but I mean, there is like a certain level of like, you know, confidence in just being like, well, it's all or nothing for me. I got to carry my team on my back. But if I lose, like, no one could say that I didn't pull my weight, because he did definitely take down Avoid in that first game, and he looked really good doing it too. That was the thing. Avoid has looked so good in this series up until that game with Legend, where Legend just looks so good on top of it. So, I mean, it's been nothing but like brilliant play so far in this series.
Yeah. We'll see who NrG sends out next. But it looks like we are going to take a really short break here, according to Marine, so I have to go sprint. And, yeah, stick with us, you guys. We'll be back in about 30 to 45 seconds.
Stay tuned, guys. This is the ISTL.
To hold us off. The Nexus is probably going to be going down that one Colossi, and there's the ridiculously lagging GG!
Oh, nice. Down to the big one. And the Vikings are going to focus down. All those Colossi are probably going to go down.
Yeah, he doesn't even have Blink yet.
Woo! You see all that sweat coming off my head? That is me running so incredibly fast to go get water. Actually, the only reason I'm here today is because I went to the Olympic trials last week for the running section, and they told me I was running too fast and I was cheating. So, like, they, like, kicked me out. It's like they don't want to win or something. All right, well...
I wasn't expecting that joke out of you at all, but I was like, oh, why are you here today? Oh, because you were trying out for the Olympics? What? I wasn't ready for it. I was completely unprepared.
Woo!
It is actually getting pretty hot in my room. I'm hoping that... Yeah, it's actually getting pretty hot. We are both Southern California people, guys, if you guys don't know. It has been really hot here, but not quite as hot as... Well, it's actually been really hot throughout most of the Midwest, or most of the United States. I was actually reading all sorts of news reports about it, how people have been, like, dying of heat stroke and stuff. So, yeah, but it is hot, but not quite as hot as this series. The series has been absolutely ridiculous so far. We are on Game 5, and it does look like we're going to have a Protoss coming out to fight our player from Team Metagaming, who is going to be Legend. And what map are we actually on? Because I am blocking it. It's going to be a TVP on Metropolis.
Yeah, probably a pretty good map choice for Protoss here. You know, we've seen a lot of people take fast third Nexuses on this map. You know, like 1 gate third Nexus, or, you know, just go up to just 4 and put down that third Nexus or something. So, I'm really excited. I like this map for a Protoss player. And we'll see, because all he has to do is take out Legend once. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like an 8 gate or something like that off of 3 bases as really heavy pressure with a lot of sentries or something. But I don't know.
I have seen a lot of like very powerful gateway timings against Terran on this map. That the layout of the natural with the destructible debris, it makes it so that it's narrow, so you can like abuse force fields on it. But also, I've seen like things like Genius go for like his like Void Ray builds on that map, and that's also been effective. But I haven't really seen a Terran versus Protoss in pro play on this map in quite a while, which I think is a little interesting now that I think about it. It's been a few seasons, I think, actually, since at least I've seen a Terran versus Protoss on this map. But you're right, this is a pretty good map for both players. But obviously, because there is so much airspace, there is the potential for a lot of heavy drop plays. So we will have to see how this is going to work out. As soon as we can get the spectators that are not necessary out of the game, we can get this started. Both players are ready. I am ready. Buddha, are you ready?
I am indeed ready to get this game started. Yeah! Yeah!
Buddha is ready. I hope you guys are ready. This will be game 5 of this best of 7. NrG versus Metagaming. This is the ISTL.
Yes, and we don't have any music to play after that, so not going to be the epic beginning that I want. We could sing some music if you wanted, though.
Just some air guitar could like imitate the music for the GSL as it's starting up. I actually don't even have it done. No, I'm not gonna do that today, but I'll do that on your stream for the fun stuff that we do there. Anyway, spawning up here in the top position from Team NrG, we have our Protoss player. He is Gouge. No. Oj? I can't pronounce that.
I think it's a play. Yeah. I think you're right. And spawning at the bottom, we do have our Terran player, Legend. And let me tell you right now, I don't know where the name Gouge came from, man. Like, what is that? Like, is he gonna gouge someone's eyes out? Like, that's bloody.
It is pretty bloody. There is a pretty standard move in World of Warcraft for rogues, Gouge. That could be also where it came from, because a lot of people have played that game. I know a lot of you that are sitting in the chat are going like, "Oh, I never played WoW." No, you all did. If you guys are watching, you guys all played. That's probably where that name came from, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, PvT is gonna all look the same at the very beginning, unless the Terran player takes a gas, which would be relatively unusual with the current metagame and stuff.
If the Protoss takes a gas, that would just be weird.
Oh, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to go like 4 Nexus before gate?
Gouge could be ascribing to the way that Huck used to play PvT. Nexus first or Dark Templar rush on one base. That was like the only thing that Huck would ever do for like a long time, and it could be like, he could just be going for like really quick Dark Templar on one base, but you never really know.
All right, well, it does look like we are going to have a Nexus first out of Gouge with no scout after pylon, so playing balls to the walls here, and you know, I like that he's playing balls to the walls, but I don't like that he's playing balls to the walls without scouting. I think that's maybe a little bit unnecessary, but they did get cross position, so he is going to be in a pretty okay spot. Legend opening gasless, and looks like he's going to do a 1-rack expand with only 1 depot. Yes! So many high-level players doing this now.
I really need to know why this is like such a big thing for you, Buddha. Like, I get that some command center firsts or some 1-rack expands are a little bit more economical than others, but what is the benefit of the 1 supply depot command center that makes you such a huge fan of it?
Well, so you get your command center before you restart SCV production. You'll only make 1 Marine, and you get that command center down before those extra SCVs come out. You're like spending more money on SCVs, and you get it before that 2nd depot, so it's another 100 minerals. So it comes out, you know, like 10 seconds faster, and these players are good enough to like scout and know like how to follow up with like less Marines at the very beginning of the game. I don't know. I just really love it, man. It's high level stuff.
What I love from Legend is that he is actually going for a 1-rack bunker build against his opponent who has gone for that early Nexus. This is something you see almost all the time against Zerg, but it's not really utilized all that much against Protoss because most Protoss don't actually go for Nexus first builds. At least they didn't used to. It's becoming more popular in the metagame. And actually, we have no Marines moving across the map. This is really just here to force probes. So for next to nothing, Legend did manage to actually deny a lot of mining time from about like 5 or 6 probes with that single bunker push. And if he doesn't actually kill that bunker, oh, he just salvaged it. Or canceled it. I was thinking that like if he didn't actually destroy that bunker and that bunker just kind of chilled there, he could walk some Marines across the map and just put them in the bunker. That would have been funny.
All right, well, we do have a 3 command center opening from Legend off of that 1 barracks, adding on 2 more now. And this is, I don't want to call it greedy because he did see Nexus first, but I think it's a good response. He's going to be able to get his economy up, even if he leaves that command center in base, getting all those extra SCVs at the very beginning here. It's going to take him a little bit longer to power up, but it's pretty hard to punish a Nexus first a lot of the time if your opponent knows what he's doing. So, looks like Gouge is going to follow this up as if it were a 1-gate expand, adding on those 2 gates, and actually taking a really fast 2nd gas here. So, well, actually, it's not that fast, huh? Protoss OP. Oh.
A lot of this has to do with the fact that we don't ever really see super heavy gateway timings from Protoss anymore in the Terran versus Protoss matchups. So, but a lot of the builds that you do see, like if you are going to have an aggressive Protoss, you'll see things like Immortal Bus or something like that. This third command center is actually a really smart idea because it does allow you to continue your Marine production. It allows you to get up your economy a little bit better than your opponent. And if you have a super heavy Marine count, that'll help you defend off all sorts of things like Immortal Bus, like Void Ray, like type attacks, anything except for a super heavy gateway opening with Stalkers and Sentries. But I don't think we're going to see that from Gouge. He is dropping down a double forge on top of this, so he is interested in going for the later game. But this is exactly what Legend wants. He has that third command center. He could establish that third base anytime that he wants to, but he is at least a little nervous because he is dropping that second bunker down.
Yeah, I think we might see a Genius-style push here with this double forge. I think he might drop a Twilight Council and Robotics Bay and go for like a 3 Colossus +2/+2 attack. But that's just what I'm feeling, right?
Dude,
like
that is old school Genius. That used to not work because of how wide the EMP radius was, but. You know, that actually could do a lot of damage now. And like people are like, the EMP radius, what does that have to do with Colossus? Well, it wasn't really the Colossus that was the big problem in that build. It was the fact that you had so many sentries that you could just keep like bioforces from running up close to your Colossus. That's like the one big counter to Colossus before you have Vikings out, is just being able to get your army real close to hug the Colossus so that you can just gun them down. And actually, Buddha, you are a prophet. We have a Robotics Bay going down with 3 gates, so this definitely does look like a 2-base Colossus timing.
Dude, I'm just really good at this game. I don't know if you've heard, but yeah, I think we're going to see a Twilight Council come down in just a sec because, of course, he's going to have like 1 Colossus when these forges finish +1/+1 here. And yeah, I think I'd really like to see +2. And it looks like he's breaking the rocks to maybe take a 3rd here, but I'd be... it might just be like, I'll take a 3rd after my 3rd Colossus finishes, and then we'll push out and like we'll start saturating it if this doesn't work kind of thing.
Well, there's the Twilight Council, Buddha, and actually what I would love to see from Legend right now is actually a scan on the main base. All of those buildings are so clumped together, a single scan on either Nexus would actually reveal everything that Legend needs to know about what's actually coming at him, and this is going to be such a strong timing attack if Legend doesn't start Viking production immediately.
And can you say Artosis pylon? I think there are 2 gateways, a Cybernetic Core, a Robotics Bay, and 2 forges on 1 pylon right now.
I think the pylons that are down below that are actually powering the gateways, but definitely both forges and the cybernetics. And there's the scan I was looking for. Legend, it's almost as if you're listening in stream cheating because you're able to see everything that Gouge currently has going on in his base. That will tell Legend everything that he needs to know to actually be able to hold off this attack. He has a lot of bio units down already. He does have a really nice economy. He's been harvesting from triple orbital for quite a while, so his mineral income has been just phenomenal as this game's actually going on, and Gouge is actually expanding behind this. So he could actually prolong this attack and just go for a really quick 3-3 with Colossus.
He could. He's not getting +2 armor here, which is kind of a little bit confusing to me. I mean, he has... Oh, there it goes. And, okay, so the longer he waits, the more Vikings and, you know, just Bio Legend's going to be able to get out here. So I'm a little bit concerned here for Gouge if he doesn't push across with these 3 Colossus. And this Nexus is definitely going to delay it. He could have added 3 more gates with that Nexus, but he does have 71 Harvesters already. So actually, he's going to be kicking in full gear here because he was probing that entire time. So yeah, this push is going to be delayed a little bit, but I actually think he's going to make it a lot more powerful, especially with how this map looks.
And you know what's actually going to be a huge factor also is just the upgrades. Legend for a little while there wasn't actually upgrading to 2-2, even though he had that armory down, and we're going to have +2/+2 ground and armor upgrades for Gouge in just a little while, so he will have a lot of superior upgrades to his opponent. I think Legend is actually going to be going for some drop play against his opponent right now. He scans to make sure there are no observers there. He's going to lift up. That is a very short hop into the main base, and the pylon placement that you were talking about, Buddha, could actually be a real big deal for Gouge if these bio units go for it. But all those Colossus are actually making their way back into the main base. They think they might actually be able to hold off this attack, but good control from Legend is allowing him to actually get a lot of bang out of all of those bio units. He is forced to pick up, but he does kill quite a few units before he's actually forced to leave the base.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the gateway unit count for Gouge at the moment. It's really low. It's 5 stalkers.
Oh. He didn't actually leave the base. His opponent only thought he was leaving the base.
Man.
Instead, he was just taking a roundabout route directly back into the mineral line with both medevacs. So a lot of probes are actually going to go down in all of this. He splits up his forces so that he's going to have to force his opponent to split up his forces. Also, a lot of probes are actually being killed in all of this, but no tech actually. So only workers are really being killed by these drops.
Wow, 17 workers killed. And on top of that, Gouge is still at 71 harvesters. Like, what? Doesn't make any sense. But, oh my god, this medevac escapes with 1 hit point.
Chrono Boost is pretty good, Buddha. He does have a lot of probes. Actually, his third is actually extremely oversaturated. Look how many probes that is.
Yeah, that is a little bit ridiculous. He's saving them so he can resaturate his main naturally, of course. After they lose all the probes there. All right, well, really good drop play by Legend here, and Gouge, you know, had a few mistakes earlier defending it, but now is doing a better job now that there's fewer units. Blink is finished, and now Legend is going to have to really up that Viking count, and oh my god, good point out, Marine. It looks like 6 SCVs were just chilling at the third for Legend, and actually now they're all surrounding one SCV here and still not mining, so hopefully he finds that and fixes it soon. It could be a big deal, but look at this, double starport for Legend, and he is cranking out so many Vikings right now that Gouge is going to have to, well, he already is, teching to High Templar.
You know, what might actually be a problem in just a little bit here, Buddha, is that Legend is actually, I think, overmaking SCVs a little bit. He is up to 81 SCVs, which is more than you ever really need as Terran. Your mineral investment would be better off into just making additional command centers. So this actually could prove to be a problem if he doesn't stop making SCVs pretty soon. But just as I say that, no more SCVs are actually being queued up, so it is really just going to be about 80 SCVs. 3-3 is started for a Terran player, but they will not be done before the Protoss has 3-3 out. Some Vikings are going to be able to pick off a single Colossus. There goes one down. Some sentries are actually forcing these Vikings away, but a lot of sentries are actually being killed by these bioforces. And Legend is actually looking really strong in this engagement. A lot of Vikings are actually killing a lot of Colossus right now. And the bioforces are actually out of range of those Colossus. They're being forced to go forward, but a lot of bio is still alive. And this engagement is definitely going to go Legend's way.
Oh my goodness, Gouge is just going to straight up lose this game right now, I think. Storm is not done. It's only 3/4 of the way done. 1 Archon and a couple of Stalkers is all that remains of this army. It looks like a drop went down to the back of Gouge's base, but he's down to 110. There's 160 supply of Legend. Legend cleans up the third. There is no 4th out for Gouge, and he has a 4th of his own. So at this point, he's going to be able to reinforce so quickly because of that SCV count. And he's at his opponent's base, man. Like, Gouge can't do anything to counterattack at this point. He's got no units.
He has no units, Buddha. He does have 3-3, but what good are upgrades if there are no units to actually benefit from them? He has been able to force Legend's army out, but the supply is up to 163 to 114. Legend will be remaxed in just a short while, and all of these drops have actually done a lot of damage to Gouge's economy. Gouge did lose that third nexus. He did lose a lot of probes and all that. His probe count is down to 62, which is 20 beneath his Terran opponent. He is trying to establish that 4th nexus, and he is actually sending some zealots into the 4th base of Legend thanks to a proxy pylon that it was concealed behind that destructible debris.
Yeah, there are actually like 4 proxy pylons over here in different positions that he can reinforce from. So Legend is going to clean this up, and look at this 60 supply lead for Legend right now. Gouge putting down those 2 extra nexuses to try to catch back up, but his production right now is almost completely empty. He's got 1 Colossus on the way, and he's not able to support all of these warp gates off of such a low economy at the moment. He's not even mining from his 4th gas in his main. So, you know, Legend playing this actually really phenomenally right now, and I think we're going to see a game number 5. No, 6. 6?
It's definitely looking good for Legend right now. He is even mixing in Ghosts with this unit composition. Now, his opponent does have High Templar tech mixed in now, and 3-3 has completed. So, in terms of tech and upgrades, this Protoss army is about as strong as it possibly can be. 3-3 is just finishing for Legend, but this is all going to come down really to the control. Even though Legend has a superior army count to his opponent, we are talking about Protoss here. Protoss, if they manage to land good storms, and if the positioning for the Terran force isn't good, he could clean up this entire Terran bio army, but Legend has shown that he has such tremendous control that I still give him the advantage in this battle when it actually starts up. And good positioning on those Vikings again, taking advantage of that dead zone. over the ramp. Is going to be able to take off one of those Colossus before the battle even starts. Storms are going down, but EMPs have hit all of those Zealots.
God.
So all the Zealots have no shielding, and there is no more Storms left in that army. All of the Vikings have actually taken down all of the Colossus, and this is definitely going to be the end of this game.
Yeah, wow. Legend just basically rolling over that army there, even with a number of Storms coming down for Couch. Excellent EMPs on all the bunched up High Templars. There's the GG, and Legend brings it back 2-3 for MG now.
Legend is just, he's so good, man. That entire game was just nothing but like Legend being like, listen, I'm really good at this game. I got this. That was basically the entire game. Gouge actually played out really, really well. But I think that that decision to go for that third Nexus was a bit of a mistake. Like, you kind of like played out a little bit to the way that that Legend wanted to play a little bit, I think.
Yeah, no, you know, he took that really fast third base, and I think if he had done that 2-2 Colossus push, he could have done a lot of damage. There were only like 3 or 4 Vikings out at that point, and if he had powered up gateways instead of taking that third and adding on those extra probes, I think he could have won the game with that. But I didn't mind the third base decision. I think he did it okay. I think he took way too much damage from those drops. And then, you know, a little bit of miss micro in those engagements, not spreading his High Templars out, took huge EMP damage, and just a really well played game by Legend. It happened to go in his favor, but I think that oh my God, I think that Gouge made a couple of small mistakes there.
Well, that's the one thing, Buddha, about going for Colossus tech. There is a lot of benefits to it, and it does give you the potential for all sorts of different really good timings, but the one disadvantage that it has is that you don't have feedback that early on, so drops are potentially a lot more powerful than they would be if you were going for that early High Templar tech. So it was a good read by Legend to identify what his opponent was going for, and again, that scan was money. I have not seen a single scan reveal so much information in such a long time. That scan told him exactly what he was up against. And once he found out that his opponent wasn't actually going to attack him right away, he just started up drop play immediately. And Colossus like to stay with the Protoss army. So going for heavy drop play, sometimes he'll kill Pro, sometimes he'll kill Tech, and sometimes you'll manage to catch a Colossus out of position or just after it's finished building and snipe it. There's all sorts of really good things that you could do with drop play against Colossus when there are no Templar out in the field, and he was able to do that before Blink actually finished. Once Blink finished, it kind of stabilized a little bit, but you're right, a lot of damage went down on those drops, and that gave Legend the time he needed to just completely expand, build up his army to a huge number, and then the engagements was just brutal. Legend has some amazing control.
Yeah, no, so, you know, that is going to bring the series 3-2 at this point. And I just want to say real quick, Joker has pointed out that MXG's Remark is in the chat, and he was the MVP of last season's ISTL. So, shout out to him. And MXG actually plans to be back in ISTL Season 3. So I can't wait for that because they are actually a fantastic team, as are all the rest of the ones we have, of course. But, you know, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, we have really, really good players that have played in the ISTL. I mean, Remark is just one of them, and you know, I mean, this again, semi-professional esports is so much fun. I love the ISTL. Like, I don't just cast your guys because like I have nothing better to do. I actually legitimately like the ISTL, and I love all the players and teams that we've been playing with. And I mean,
you don't do it for the money, Vindy?
No, I definitely don't do it for money because I'm not being paid. But the thing is, too, is again, like, we haven't had a bad series in the playoffs. That we had a Void doing so well earlier on in this series, and now Legend is just taking it back. And again, this is coming off, like, if you read the Battle.net forums and if you read, like, things on Team Liquid, apparently Terran sucks right now, but not these Terrans. A Void first, now Legend, just proving that Terran is still a viable race if you are a boss, but I don't have control like either of them, so I definitely couldn't do what either one of them is doing so far today.
All right, well, the next map is going to be MLG Shakuris Plateau. We do have a Protoss coming in for NrG at this point, so who knows what's going to happen here.
Another Protoss.
Yeah. You know, we'll see if he does a similar build. We might see a Templar opening. We might see an all-in, right? Because we didn't see an all-in that last game. We saw a lot of tech come up and then a third base get taken, which I thought was a little bit of a weird, I don't know. I think he would have done better if he had, like, stayed on his 3 gates and double forge and roboed chronoed out some observers or whatever, and then taken that third base, and then added on the robotics bay and kind of tried to add it on that way. But who knows? I'm not a super high Masters player myself, so.
He definitely had a plan that he was definitely going to go for Buddha regardless of what his opponent was going to do. I mean, he went the Nexus first without scouting. He went straight for that build. I mean, he had the build worked out where that's what happens in Team League. Like, you have a coach saying, do this, and he's like, all right, I'm going to go do that. And he executed it. It's just that Legend had like 2 good engagements. So,
yeah.
We might see something different coming up here on Shakura's Plateau. What I was actually noticing, though, Buddha, is that a lot of the maps that are really good for PvT are pretty much already been used up in this series. I mean, we really only have like no. We have Ohana and Calm Before the Storm next too. So it is an interesting decision, I think, by Dime to actually go for Shakura's Plateau, which is a pretty even map as far as this matchup goes, as opposed to trying to go for a map to snipe down Legend. But we'll have to see how our Protoss player from Team NrG does. This is going to be game number 6. Legend bringing it back. Will we have a reverse all kill, or will Dime be the Protoss to put an end to this series and give his team the victory? We'll have to find out in just a moment. The countdown should be starting in just a second. This is the ISTL with Vindicare and Buddha. Thank you for sticking with us, guys. We love you.
Yeah, make sure you guys press that follow button. We do have more matches coming up tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and then again next Sunday, and then the finals. I'm actually not sure what the date on that's going to be, but we are hopping into game number 6, as you said, Vindicare, with NrG's Dime and MG's Legend.
This is such a cool map for this matchup.
You know, we this used to be like the #1 map for 1-1-1, right? Like, all the time, because of that ramp that the Protoss has to come down to engage siege tanks on. And then Protoss is kind of like, you know, figured out, oh, well, if I just make a bunch of sentries and move out and like force field his tanks back and get like half of his Marines before he gets here, then I just crush him. But you know, we still see it every once in a while. It's really fallen out of style. But on this map, I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like that again. But Legend so far has shown us 2 excellent macro games, and I don't know. What do you think, Vindy? What are we gonna see, buddy?
It's definitely possible that we might see some sort of early cheese trying to knock Legend out. I mean, again, they do have 2 more tries after this. They will have their 1 ace player to take down Legend, but we'll have to see how our red Protoss player does, spawning up here in the top left position. He is from Team NrG. Can he take down his opponent and give his team the final victory to advance in the playoffs? We have NrG's Dime.
And spawning at the top right, winner of the last 2 games, taking out a Void and 2 other one other player from NrG. Oh my god, I'm losing it over here, Vindy. Help me out. We do have the blue Terran player of Legend.
But casting with you is so much fun, because whenever you make a single slip up, you're automatically like, oh man, I suck. I need like some help over here. And it's just like, it's so much fun.
It's such an easy thing to do. Like, all I have to do is talk. And then, like, I mess up talking? Come on! I'm a terrible person.
Buddha, you are terrible. You are terrible. You are terribly awesome. See what I did?